Does Africa need the West, or is it the other way around? Why is the West scrambling to have an alliance with African countries when they speak of Africa as diseased, stricken, and beggars? Let's dive into the reality. When the coups took place in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, France was quick to condemn the military governments and sever diplomatic ties with these nations. However, the fallout has been devastating for France, leading to its expulsion from these countries and fueling growing anti-French sentiment. Recent reports indicate that France's national airline, Air France, has incurred a loss of €65 million after being driven out of the Sahel region, and is now attempting to re-establish its presence there. Why would Air France consider returning to the Sahel, and will the military governments allow it? Let's explore. France's strained relationship with the Sahelian nations started after the coup in Mali, which led to President Assimi Goïta assuming power. This unrest then spread to Burkina Faso, Chad, and Niger. The military leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were the ones who effectively dismantled France's influence in the region. When the coup took place in Niger in July 2023, France was quick to condemn it, even backing the regional bloc ECOWAS in supporting military intervention. France's response was driven by fear that Niger could follow the same path as Burkina Faso and Mali, where similar political upheavals had occurred. France sought to safeguard its military and economic interests in Niger, but things didn't go as planned. The Nigerian authorities stood firm, refusing to relinquish their position or reinstate the ousted president, who had been widely regarded as a puppet of France. Since the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have refused to relent, France has chosen to retaliate by suspending the visas of all citizens from these countries. This move particularly impacted Sahelian students already studying in France, as well as those planning to study there. The French foreign minister explained that halting visa issuance by consulates is part of a broader strategy to reduce the operations of French embassies in these nations. At the time, the French government claimed security concerns as the reason for suspending visas for new students from the three countries. However, it was clear to everyone that this was actually a response to the actions of the military government. During the same period, both Gabon and Chad also experienced military coups, yet neither of these countries faced visa suspensions. Therefore, the security explanation was nothing more than a pretext. However, that's not the only development. France also halted scholarships and visas for students from the Sahel countries of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The French Ministry of Higher Education and Research stated that the funding previously allocated for these purposes was no longer available due to the suspension of development aid from France, citing security concerns. This period was particularly difficult for students from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, as they were compelled to shift to online learning and make various adjustments. France's decision to suspend visas prompted a strong reaction from the governments of Mali and Burkina Faso. Mali shut down its visa application center in France, and French citizens may face visa denials for Niger, even once the country's borders reopen. On Wednesday, September 13, 2023, all collaborative projects between your establishments or departments and institutions or nationals from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger must be immediately suspended, without exception. Additionally, all financial support, including through French organizations such as associations, must be halted. Invitations to nationals from these countries should also be withheld. But how is this related to France's national airline? Along with suspending visas for the three countries, Air France, the national carrier of France, also halted flights to Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. As a result, the airline redirected its routes to Central Africa and formed a partnership with Gabonese Airlines. It's important to note that Air France is the fifth largest airline in the world by financial performance, serving 189 destinations across 74 countries. Here is a reminder to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from around the globe. Air France is currently the leading airline operating between Europe and Africa, which means it regularly flew over Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger before the suspension. For instance, it had 7 weekly flights to Mali, 5 to Burkina Faso, and 4 to Niger. However, following the coup in Niger and the closure of its airspace, France has now classified the capitals of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso as red zone destinations. The military government remained firm, refusing to yield to France's demands. Now, the situation has completely shifted. A few months ago, Air France came to the realization that suspending flights to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso had been a major mistake. During the brief period when flights were halted, the airline lost approximately 65 million euros. Isn't that remarkable? In such a short span, flights to these three Sahel countries were valued at 65 million euros. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. When Air France first suspended its flights to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, it was only meant to last a few days. However, the airline later extended the suspension until August 2024, citing Niger's coup and the broader geopolitical tensions in the Sahel region. This move, however, was met with displeasure from Mali's authorities, who responded by revoking Air France's operating permit. What an audacity! In August 2024, Air France revealed that it was set to resume its services to Mali. However, the airline clarified that the flights would be operated by a third-party aircraft and crew. Instead of using its own planes, Air France confirmed that the flights would be conducted by a Boeing 777-200ER, which belongs to the Portuguese carrier Euro-Atlantic Airways. It was also mentioned that the crew will include employees from this company, which, besides operating scheduled flights, also provides charter and leasing services. However, here's the twist. The authorities in Mali revoked the authorization granted to the French flag carrier, Air France, to resume operations and services in the country. Malian officials explained that the decision was reversed because the agreement had been made without consulting the proper authorities. Can you imagine? Air France declared that it would resume flight operations in the country without even consulting the local authorities. How does that make any sense? But then again, should we really be surprised? It's just another example of the West's typical paternalistic attitude and sense of superiority. Naturally, the authorities in Niger weren't going to tolerate that, so they took the steps that best served their interests. Isn't it surprising that Air France is now looking to resume flights in the Sahel, especially after citing insecurity as the reason for suspending operations in the first place? This only highlights the double standards of France, a pattern that seems unlikely to change. Air France has clearly recognized the revenue it generates from the Sahel and doesn't want to lose that valuable market. It's becoming increasingly evident that the leaders of the Sahel are firm in their decisions, and nothing appears capable of altering that course. Currently, Air France is looking to make adjustments in order to maintain its financial benefits from operations in these countries. However, the big question remains: will the military authorities allow Air France to resume its operations? The answer is still unclear. What is certain, though, is that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso hold the upper hand in this situation. It's time Africa has full sovereignty. If they decide to allow Air France to return, it's clear that it will be on terms set by the Sahel countries, terms that Air France will have no choice but to accept, given the airline's reliance on the region. The bottom line is this: Africa doesn't need the West. It's the West that needs Africa. What are your thoughts? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing African development.